Alright, well, Stephen wanted to see this cotton belt unit they've been using for the local here in Bakersfield. So we pulled up here and they're doing some switching here with it. The last time I was here, it was parked. And I got a few photographs of it and shared them on a couple of the railroad pages, and people thought it was pretty cool. And I forgot all about it. And we ran into that group of rail fans up there at Channel 2 yesterday, and they asked if he had seen that. And this is the next day. This is Stephen's second day here. It is Wednesday. And so we drove over here to the yard, and they're putting it to work. I thought they might have been heading out to Formosa, but they're not. Looks like they're taking the train apart rather than putting it together. Those box cars there. The yellow box car was right behind these hoppers. Alright, well, we'll see if Stephen wants to hang around and watch this, and if so, we will, and if not, we'll see you from the next place. Well, we went and had some breakfast, got some gas, and we weren't sure if the Formosa, which I'm assuming that is, I'm not sure if that's what that is, but I think so. They're still here switching. We've been gone for, gosh, an hour and a half, and we came back and they had just pulled this consist in here. UP, 2 KCSs, and a Canadian Pacific. And you can see the abandoned fuel rack and service rack over there. That's just the service rack, not the fuel rack. Sorry, the fuel rack is further down in the yard. But yeah. So as I said, they are still switching that. Stick around for a little while. I went over to the yard office, but there was no one there that could tell me what was going on. All right, looks like they are headed out. They're on the main. Yeah, they're on the way to Formosa or Laredo or wherever. But Stephen wants to go up and watch them work. So that's what we're gonna do. And that looks like all looks like Formosa stuff. standing at in the old support ribs or whatever these are called, the tunnel 4. Never thought about shooting from over here. Holy cats, it's loud though. And that is Tunnel 3 that this eastbound just came out of. Heard on the radio that there were some cattle out up here. We were headed up this way anyway, and thought we'd come up here, and I was going to see if there is a hole in the fence that we might be able to herd them back through. There's about 4 or 5 of them, it looks like, but it appears that they came down from the mountain above us, and the fence is way up there, a couple hundred yards up the hill. There are some cattle over here. Oh, there's that train going up there, but there's some cattle over here on Mike's property. But the tracks lead right back this way and up that hill. So I think that's Steve Cummings' property. So anyway, I've sent a message to Mike about it, and hopefully they can come out here and get these things rounded up before any of them get hit by a train. Also heard on the radio that there is a broken rail at milepost 346.7, which is in the siding, which is between switches at Rowan. The broken rail's on the main line, but it looks like they're still running them through the siding. So yeah, we'll see what's going on. The weather today is pretty much like it was yesterday, cold and wet, and I got snow in Tehachapi last night. We haven't been up there yet, but yeah, see what happens next. All right, moved up here to Bealville by the crossing, just west of that. There's a lot of mud, so we're kind of limited as to where we can go today, or to where I'm going to try to go anyway. So we're hitting the easy spots. Cat, sorry for the shakes. Get it too magnified sometimes and my old hands just shake a little too much. Couldn't have anything to do with that 5 cups of coffee I drank this morning. Old Steve, and he's named off a few spots he'd like to go to, but it's just too muddy to risk getting up there. Not that I'd get stuck, I just wouldn't be able to get up some of them roads. I have to back down them in the mud. And I might get up them, I don't know, but I'm not that dedicated, and he doesn't mind. So we're going to head back up to Waylong after this. It has stopped raining at least. Kind of getting a little hole in the clouds. I don't know. That doesn't always mean anything. Definitely warming up. Here are the URLs to my PayPal and my Patreon. If you can help the channel out that way, I'd sure appreciate it. Alright, well, it wasn't a very long train. Head-in still hasn't come out of Tunnel 5. There he is. It took about 15 seconds after the DPU went out of sight for that one to come out of Tunnel 5. I posted a picture I took yesterday of some units smoking it up coming out of there, and a bunch of people commented that all trains, eastbound trains coming out of Channel 5 do that. No, they do not. Modern locomotives put out very little smoke regardless of the circumstances. Those were older units, and I confirmed that with a couple of people who were into locomotive history. All right, we pulled up right as that eastbound that we saw between 3 and 5, that UP, we pulled up just as he was clearing this. He no sooner went around the curve, going around the top of we were at Waylong, top of the loop, and this guy poked his nose around the corner, and it appears that they're going to make a meet. Beautiful scene. The snow on the hills in the background. And they tend to stop short of the, yep, they stop right here, it looks like. Of the road crossing to the Loop Ranch, even though it doesn't get used much anymore. good spot to watch their meet. We're definitely going to meet the train we caught down at Bealville. Heard the dispatcher tell this train sitting here waiting that when this train goes by, he's going to run him down to Woodford, run another eastbound by him, and then that'll be the last eastbound for a while, because they've handed out tracking time at Illman. Double track starts between there and Caliente. And then they also have the broken rail they're trying to repair, which evidently is in the OS at East Rowan, but they are running trains through the siding, obviously. And then once the next eastbound gets by this guy, they'll run him down to Illman. And when they get done with that, then they'll start cutting the trains loose, going wherever they're going. I haven't heard them holding any more trains at Bena or Sandcup, but that doesn't mean they aren't. And we'll certainly find out later. Steven down there. This is one of the loaded grain trains. Train's always pretty hard on the brakes coming down the hill. The other side of this little knob right here is where the east end of Waylong used to be before they made this double track from Waylong to Marcel. All right, see what happens next. Well, I'm going to stop this right here. Second day with Steven turned out just like the first day. When I loaded all these clips into my editing program, it was over an hour long. So I'm going to stop this here and do just like I did last time. Turn this into 2 different videos. Some people say they like long formats, but I don't think they meant an hour. So yeah, we'll do this a half hour just like I did last week. 2 videos, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday. And it was a great day, but it was a long day. And you know, that's cool because shows you how many trains you get to see on Tehachapi. And as I've stated before, you can catch a train at Caliente, then run up the hill and catch the same train at Waylong, and then run up and catch the same train at Cable. And you do the same thing coming down because the speed limit's so slow. So yeah, you might even run out to the desert and catch it again. So yeah, and we did that some, as you'll notice in this. Okay, that will bring an end to half of day 1 with Stephen Humphrey.